Former President Trump getting ready to leave his golf club in Doral, Florida, making his way to the U.S. District Court in Miami for his arraignment in the classified documents case. You can see the motorcade beginning to move there. Let's get over to Eamon Javers. Eamon?
Kelly, that's right. I believe what we're looking at there are live pictures now of the Trump National Doral. I believe those are Miami PD officers, and you will see a mix here of local PD officers and U.S. Secret Service escorting the former president of the United States from his resort, the Trump National Doral, there in that live picture, over to the courthouse, the federal courthouse in Miami, where he's going to be arraigned on 37 counts. Charges involving violating 7 different statutes, including the Espionage Act, in the course of allegedly willfully mishandling classified U.S. defense information, including United States nuclear secrets. And as we've said so many times in covering Trump over the years, Kelly, we've just never seen anything like this. We've never seen a former president under indictment like this. We've never seen an Espionage Act charge brought against a former president. We've never seen a former president being arraigned on federal charges before. This is entirely new territory and potentially deeply divisive in the country. We're going to watch the scene around the courthouse here, Kelly, to see just how many pro-Trump or anti-Trump protesters show up on scene so far. It seems like just a couple of hundred people there on site, so the scene seems to be largely under control as we wait now, Kelly, for the former president's official departure here from Doral, heading over to the courthouse in downtown Miami.
Yeah,
Kelly?
Eamon, we've heard some Floridian officials say, please for everybody to keep calm as crowds continue to gather. My understanding is there was some question of where these charges would be brought, whether it was Washington, D.C. or Florida, and that Trump might have said if they were brought in Washington, he couldn't get a fair trial. That might be one reason, obviously, other than the fact that much of this appears to have been activity based in Florida, that the charges are being brought there.
I think the key is that the underlying conduct being charged here took place in Florida. It took place at Mar-a-Lago. That's where the documents were stored. That's where you saw the prosecutors release those now famous pictures of the boxes of documents stored in the bathroom and in the ballroom at Mar-a-Lago. That's where the alleged mishandling of the documents took place. So it made sense from a legal perspective to charge in Florida. But from a legal defense perspective, Kelly, you're absolutely right. This might give a little bit of an edge here to the Trump defense, just in the sense that a jury pool in South Florida might be more amenable to former President Trump than a jury pool in the District of Columbia, which is a very, very blue city. You might have more people predisposed to be in favor of Donald Trump on that jury in South Florida when or if this case gets to that standpoint. But what we're going to see right now here is just the arraignment in front of a magistrate judge. We expect the whole process to take about an hour. And we expect the former president to be in custody for a period of time there, in custody of the U.S. Marshals, but to be released very shortly thereafter. And then we expect the former president to leave the state entirely and head to New Jersey, where we might see some remarks from the former president later on this evening, Kelly.
And normally we might be getting all of the details that we already have about his charges in this arraignment. But in this case, because the president himself began speaking about this, I believe, end of last week, it sounds like U.S. officials then released the details to the public maybe a little bit earlier than they otherwise would have, perhaps taking some of the drama out of what we might hear today.
Yeah, the document was initially filed under seal, but the prosecutors filed with the court to release that, just given the crushing amount of interest in this and the real legitimate interest that the American people have in understanding what exactly the charges are against a former president of the United States. Remember, the exquisite difficulty here for the law enforcement officials and for the judicial system is that Donald Trump is not only a former president of the United States, but he's a current candidate for president of the United States in 2024. He is campaigning right now, in fact, fundraising off of some of these events in letters to his supporters and emails to his supporters. So that complicates things. And there is an enormous American interest for the people generally to be able to see what these charges are and understand what it is that the special counsel here has done in charging the former president with, as I say, 37 counts, violating 7 different statutes. And they released on Friday the information about the documents, the extent that they can, that were classified, and the types of information, including U.S. nuclear weapons secrets, that the former president had at his facility there and had allegedly declined to return to the U.S. government.
What have we heard from others on the campaign trail so far, Eamon? Because my understanding is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was actually making some comments in defense of the president, saying, we shouldn't set this precedent in terms of going after, former leaders of the country.
Yeah, you see a lot of frustration among Republicans and Republican candidates for president who feel that there's a double standard here in the U.S. legal system. They argue that Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden have done similar things, and yet you don't see their indictment, you don't see their arrest, you don't see this kind of a scene involving those political figures. Therefore, they say it's not fair what's happening to Donald Trump. So you see some of that argument coming from the other candidates, but we also saw people like Nikki Haley, who's a candidate on the Republican side out there now, suggesting that, you know what, these alleged crimes are serious. You know, people who are deploying in the military depend on secrecy to protect themselves from, foreign attack, right? U.S. military invasion plans of various countries are secret for a reason. The U.S. nuclear inventory and capability is secret for a reason. So you see some of that argument as well starting to percolate out, at least from some of the Republican critics of Donald Trump on this, including Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, and one or two others. Kelly.
Our understanding, Eamon, as we watch the president and his motorcade depart for that Miami courthouse, is that in a court order last night, a federal judge said members of the media will not be allowed to have any electronic devices in the courthouse, although there are cameras allowed in the room.
That's right. We're not going to see live tweeting or dispatches from reporters in the room. We'll see what happens here. This will happen according to the book. The former president will be fingerprinted here. They'll use a scanner for that. It's modern technology. We won't see the old-fashioned ink blot being used on the former president of the United States. So he'll put his hand in a scanner and be fingerprinted. They're going to use an existing photo of the former president. Plenty of photos of Donald Trump out there in the world, so they don't need to take a new one here in this case. And the process will be by the book here. And the message from Jack Smith and the other folks in law enforcement is that no one is above the law, even a former president of the United States.
All right, Eamon, thank you. Those cameras, of course, will continue to follow the former president as he moves to the courthouse for his arraignment in Miami. Our Eamon Javers reporting from Washington, D.C. Eamon, for now, thank you so much.